takes in the playoffs and how it can change a series. And we talked about injuries before. We got another injury to talk about, or two injuries to talk about with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Wemby will be making his return tonight. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And it was announced early today that unfortunately Anthony Edwards is going to miss some serious time for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He exited the game, game 4, which the team did win thanks to 43 points from Ayo Dosunmu. Shout out to Ayo for putting up a big night in the playoffs. But Anthony Edwards went down in that game, and he will immediately begin rehabbing with hopes of joining the Wolves at their playoff run should they advance out of the first round. So as it stands right now, Anthony Edwards is expected to be out multiple weeks. This sucks for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the team that is coming up against the Denver Nuggets. Jokic has been selling for so much in this series, and the Wolves take a commanding 3-1 lead in this series. Now, for what it's worth, the Timberwolves just have to win one more game out of the next 4 to be able to move on, but it's going to be very hard to do without Anthony Edwards on that team. They also lost Donte DiVincenzo. We'll get more into that one and what that means, but Anthony Edwards is the lifeblood of that team. He is that team's star. He is who they're built around. He was 3rd in the league overall in scoring with 28.8 points per game. And you just can't overlook the impact the gravity, because calling it impact is selling it. The gravity of Anthony Edwards on the court. Now, for what it's worth, he had his scoring 22 points in game 1, 30 points in game 2, 30 points in game 2, 17 in game 3, and then only 5 in game 4 because he only played 18 minutes in that game. But he's averaging over almost 19 points per game, and that's with a game lost by injury. So, Anthony makes a huge impact for this team. And so now losing that is going to drastically hurt and change the outlook of this playoff series, even with the Minnesota Timberwolves being up 3-1. But that wasn't it. That wasn't all, right? On top of that, Donte DiVincenzo suffered a non-contact injury, which is feared to be an Achilles tear, of course, right? And that means that Donte DiVincenzo not only is going to lose this season, but the majority of next season as well, which is probably going to put even more pressure on the Minnesota Timberwolves to keep a guy like Ayo Dosunmu, who they may have not been able to afford otherwise, because listen, he's done, right? Torn Achilles. He's done. He's done for not just the rest of this playoffs. He's done for a long time next season. So what this does now to the Wolves, who should be riding in some momentum into this, but now you got to ask the question of this. Can the Denver Nuggets get back into this series now? Yes, they're down 3-1, but now with this opportunity, and I hate to talk about it that way, but in reality, that is what it is. This is now an opportunity by the Denver Nuggets to take advantage of the Timberwolves to be without two important players, their best player and another important player in Donte DiVincenzo. Like, that's what this now gives to this Denver Nuggets team, and for a team that was on the ropes. And shout out to, we're not going to overlook, like, Jokic has not played a good series overall at all. Like, the series, like, the stat sheet looks perfectly fine for Jokic, but when you watch these games, you clearly see he's not giving you much. So with now them missing almost 30-point per game score in the regular season, and Anthony Edwards and their best player, missing Donte DiVincenzo, who, say what you will, still averaged 12 points per game off the bench for them this season for that Minnesota Timberwolves team. Where does this now put the Denver Nuggets and their chance to get back in this series? And with them potentially getting players, Aaron Gordon already returned last night. Could Peyton Watson make his return as well? And if he does, what does that do for this team? So you got to look at that now. Like I said, the Timberwolves should be having a lot of confidence right now, because Jokic is shooting 39% from the field this playoff series. 39% from a player that shot the ball almost 57% during the regular season. Also, he's only shooting 18% from the three-point line as well. Like, Jokic right now is selling in a major way, and it's given this Minnesota Timberwolves team a chance to get back in this series, or to have the lead in this series, to have the control in this series. And it has never really seemed like the Nuggets have really, really played, their game or the way that you have typically expected them to look at it. So now what happens in this one? I don't know. This is 3 straight losses now for the Denver Nuggets. I said that they had to win one of those. Now, the reason why my predictions changed on that a little bit, like I said, that they had to win one of the 2 in Minnesota. They didn't win either one of them. But with now Anthony Edwards out, Donte DiVincenzo out, right? You're either going to need a combination of Io, of course, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. You're going to need a combination of those players having a really good rest of the series. Like, sweep it. I mean, not sweep it if you can. Gentlemen, sweep, right? If you can win game 5, great. Get that done as soon as possible. That way you get more chance for Anthony Edwards to recover and you have less time in the series without them. Because even if you can make it past, if you can beat the Denver Nuggets, find a way to win just one more game over the next 4, round 2, you're not going to have that chance without Anthony Edwards, you would not think, unless, Io continues to just show out for this team and other players step up as well. So I want to throw this one to you guys now. With what has happened and has transpired in this series, do you really give the Denver Nuggets a chance to go back, win 3 straight games to be able to win this series, or do you think that it's like the Wolves will find a way to win at least one even without Anthony Edwards? Let me know what you guys think on that one down below. With that said, let's get into the next one, man. Wemby has cleared concussion protocol, and he will be making an immediate return against the Blazers tonight. This is going down tonight. He will get back, and this is important. Like, you look at how the Spurs how they played in their last game without Wemby and came back without Wemby. Now, you already are riding that emotion into this game and riding that wave. You now have your best player, one of the best young players in the entirety of the league, the reigning defensive player of the year. You have that guy now returning back to your team for this playoff series. This is important, right? And, I think the Blazers have been a fun story this season. I want to be clear that I think they've been really fun to watch. Basketball, Denny Advia has been good. Scoot Henderson has had a breakout in a lot of ways over the course of this playoff so far, which is going to give a lot of kind of confidence for him to ride into this offseason and see what he can do with it. But overall, like, the Spurs with Wemby, it's just such a difficult matchup, right? So, the series is 2-1 right now. I think the Spurs, if they can get a win today, then, they get pulled into that conversation. Now, if the Blazers can make it interesting again and go back to San Antonio tied 2-2, anything is possible at that point in time. But, like, getting Wemby back right now, for this team and seeing the game that Stephon Castle and Harper had in the last game, De'Aaron Fox hasn't quite lived up to that superstar status or that moniker that he has. But, he's played pretty well in the series also. So at this point now, it just comes down to, so you have this team and the balance that they have on and throughout the roster. And that's what the Spurs need to rely on. Now, I have my thoughts on, the Spurs not needing to rush Wemby back in this series. They're probably going to be able to win even without him because you just don't want to run the risk of anything. But, I mean, for what it's worth, he cleared the concussion protocol. That means the NBA feels safe about where Wemby is. They feel like he's safe to make his return. And what this means is this is a chance for the Spurs to take a commanding lead in this series at 3-1. And then, at that point, if you want to, have Wemby on a minutes restriction, whatever it ends up being, it's not the best for fans, but, you got to think about Wemby. And you got to think about what's important for Wemby, and because you have goals of going further than just this round, right? Like, typically you don't see young teams that are able to really, in their first playoff run, go the distance. But this Spurs team has a great chance because they're well coached, they're well executed. The fit together between all these guys is really nice and exactly where you want it to be. Because of all those things, like, this is a Spurs team that really does have a legitimate chance this season. It's going to be tough against them in the the Thunder, but if they get to that point of getting to the Western Conference Finals, because that's as early as they'll take on the Thunder, if they get to that point, like, they've already shown through battles during the regular season that they're ready for this. They can handle that. So we'll see. I think this is going to be a fun playoff series, fun playoff run. And, as injuries continue to really kind of dictate series and, it changes the tone. But that is what playoff basketball is about. It's about how teams ebb, flow, and adjust and, the storylines that develop within each matchup. And unfortunately, between rough play, injuries, those are things like that. And we continue seeing this playoff kind of shaped by injuries and bad performances and stuff like that. So much like to go back to the Denver Nuggets Wolves series, they were without Aaron Gordon, they were without Peyton Watson. Nobody played a violin for them on that one. So, we'll see how each of these series goes. But let me know what you guys think down below. Can the Wolves still pull off that series even without Ant, right? Or do you think the Nuggets are about to pull off a comeback? And what kind of game do you expect for Wemby upon his return today? Let me know all that down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. You can follow us at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBACentralPod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything basketball related. I'll catch y'all the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Been a presentation of the Breaks Media.